Good morning, class. This is your read aloud. So if you have Fishing for Memories printed out, while I'm pointing, you point with your finger on your paper. If you don't have that paper printed out, then follow either the class tag or the district website and read along that way. So before I read, I want to go over the vocabulary words. Patient means to be calm. Bait means what you put at the end of a fish hook so a fish can eat it, like a worm. Scowl might be grouchy, groaning, not happy. Osprey, that's a bird that eats fish. Interrupted means to bother. And airplane, that's the vehicle that flies people or packages in the air. You know what an airplane is. So let's begin. Fishing for memories. On a warm summer day, Joanne was going fishing with her grandmother. They climbed into a small boat and rowed out onto the water. Joanne studied the waves all around her, looking for a giant fish to catch. You have to be patient. That means just wait. When you go fishing, Joanne's grandmother said. Can you be patient, Joanne? That means she wants to hurry up, put the fishing line in, and get a fish. She doesn't want to sit and wait. I'm going to catch all the fish in this pond, responded Joanne confidently. She felt good about herself that she knows she's going to do it. There won't be a single one left, Grandma. Joanne's grandma smiled, shook her head, and handed Joanne a fishing rod. Joanne quickly cast. She tossed out her line into the water, like that. There's no bait on your line, her grandmother said. That means there's no worm or little fish piece on there for them to catch. Even if there was, you still have to wait. Today is about enjoying our time together and relaxing on the water. You don't have to catch everything in the pond. Joanne scowled. She had a sourpuss look. Reeled, wound in her fishing line back in, and placed a piece of turkey sandwich on the hook. Then she threw out her line back into the water. Joanne heard her grandmother chuckle, laughing, as she leaned over the side of their boat and stared into the pond. She tried to see how far down her sandwich had traveled and whether any fish were nibbling on it. However, the water was too murky, kind of dirty and foggy. You couldn't see very well. It wasn't clear water. And Joanne didn't feel anything tugging. She didn't feel anything pulling on the end of her fishing line. After a few minutes, that means she's not happy, she's not patient, Joanne signaled a disappointment, making a face like she's not happy, and leaned back in her grandmother's boat. Her grandmother had been watching Joanne. Now she pointed to the sky and said, Do you see the bird flying up there? That bird is an osprey, her grandmother said. Ospreys catch fish too. Joanne watched as the osprey flew into a big circle and then suddenly went down to pluck a fish from the water. Joanne and her grandmother spoke about how it would feel to fly like a bird. Then they talked about the first time her grandmother flew on an airplane a long time ago. She was about Joanne's age and at that time and was going to school just like Joanne was now. Joanne and her grandmother spoke about Joanne's school and what Grandma's school was like. In some ways, their schools were different, but in some ways, they were the same. Boys were naughty then, too. Joanne and her grandmother laughed at the stories they shared. Joanne was telling her grandmother about something that had happened last week at her school assembly, where all the kids gather to see something at the school, when her grandmother interrupted her, stopped her from telling the story. Joanne, quick, grab your rod, grab your fishing pole. Joanne had caught a fish that was hungry for a turkey sandwich. See right here? Later that night, Joanne, thought about her day, but she didn't think about the fish or the turkey sandwich. She thought about the funny stories her grandmother had told her. Okay, now let's look at the exercises. T for true, F for false. Circle the right answers. If the story doesn't say the answer, circle X. So if you do false, you're going to have to circle X. If you do true, just circle T. Make sure you go back and reread and find this. Okay? So, Joanne placed a ham sandwich on her fishing hook. If anything there is totally wrong, you would put F and circle X. If it's true, you would circle T. Grandma was wearing jeans and a sweater. If they mentioned that, then you would put T. If they did not, you would circle F and circle X, because they never even mentioned that. Joanne's grandmother pointed out a bald eagle in the sky. True, false. If it's false, circle that. At first, Joanne threw her fishing line into the pond without any bait, something on the hook for the fish to eat. If it's true, circle that. If it's false, circle that. You wouldn't do that if it's something in the story. Now, number 2, write 1, 2, 3, 4 to put the story in the events in order. So 1 would be which one happened first, then 2 second, then 3 next, then 4 last. So you're going to have to reread it and see where it falls in the story, where it's found in the story. Joanne's grandmother pointed out an osprey in the sky. So that's got to be somewhere here. Joanne put a turkey sandwich on the hook of her fishing line. She caught a fish. They rowed their boat out onto the pond. So decide which one is first, which one's second, which one's third, which one's fourth. Number 3, answer in sentences. That means you got to answer in a sentence. Begin with a capital, space your words, put the correct punctuation mark. At the start, at the beginning of the story, what did Joanne think was the most important thing about going fishing? That would be right in here. Begin with a capital, space, punctuation. B, at the start of the story, what did Joanne's mother think was the most important thing about going fishing? That would be in here. Begin with a capital, finger space, use the correct punctuation mark. Number 4, what did Joanne remember the most about her fishing trip? A, Joanne thought catching a lot of fish was most important thing. B, Joanne's grandmother thought being together and relaxing was the most important thing. C, Joanne remembered her grandmother's stories the most. That would be right here. Okay? So, reread the story, find your answers, write them, circle them. Until next time, happy reading and happy writing. Bye-bye.